If you're a SaaS company doing between 5 and 20 million ARR, there's a good chance you have a large amount of pipeline and revenue hiding in your CRM and you don't even know it. Up next, I'm going to tell you how it got there and how you can capture it. As information has flooded the world, it has become harder and harder to create content that, one, gets consumed, and two, moves our prospects to action. But if we thought 6 or 7 years ago that it couldn't get any worse, we were in for an unpleasant surprise. Just since 2022, we've seen a slow economy that decreased B2B buying power. We've seen the introduction of AI that accelerated an already mind-blowing rate of information growth. And we've seen increased competition for the attention of your prospects because barriers to entry in your market have continued to fall down. If we thought we had reached peak attention deficit levels on our top of funnel content 5 years ago, we were sadly mistaken. So what does this have to do with leads sitting in your funnel today? Well, your leads came into your world through this top of funnel content that you've produced, whether it was a blog post, a webinar, or content on your website or an ad. These leads were produced here at the top of funnel by marketing. Either immediately or after a bit more nurturing, those leads were passed to sales here at the bottom of the funnel, where an SDR or an AE contacted them and booked a meeting where they'll try to get them into the sales pipeline. Good job, sales. But in most companies, this is the story of a small percentage of your leads. Now, let me tell you the untold story of the majority of your leads who have been lost in the system and forgotten. But even though they're lost and forgotten, they represent a huge opportunity for you to grow your pipeline and your sales. We'll get to that after I tell you their story. These leads started at the top of your funnel by consuming your top of funnel content. They were mildly interested, enough to click your button, fill out your form, or somehow give you their information so they could get your content or even express willingness to talk. But their interest was either weak or short-lived because your lead magnet, webinar, blog post, or white paper wasn't powerful enough to propel them through the funnel and out the bottom. They were only mildly or temporarily interested. When push comes to shove, they are not emotionally prepared to take a step that may disturb the status quo, like getting on a sales call, and they are definitely not emotionally prepared to be sold to. So when an SDR calls these leads, most people don't answer unknown callers anyway these days, but even if the SDR reached them, these are the leads who are saying they're not interested and hanging up, or somehow saying no to a sales meeting. They get emails from your SDR pushing for a meeting, and they remember the mild interest that they had, but it's nowhere near enough to take action right now. So they archive that email and say maybe they'll come back to it later. This happens for all 21 touches of the SDR outreach sequence. And so these leads stay stuck in the middle of your funnel here. They pile up over time, and despite how many of them there are, they are forgotten, at least by sales. But wait, isn't marketing aware of these leads? Aren't they doing something to rescue them from this mid-funnel graveyard? Yes, they are. Even though marketing's focus is typically more on top of funnel, they give these leads drip emails to nurture them. So our mid-funnel lead gets an email from marketing talking about your product, your customers, and showcasing your amazing brand. But these emails are usually just marketing touches focused on you and what you care about, trying to get them into a sales call or another event because your product is so great, not what this mid-funnel lead needs. In this stage, marketing's focus often shifts to attribution instead of systematically giving these leads what they need to convert. All of this is why most SaaS companies do a very poor job of converting these mid-funnel leads. Now, because you've never formally met, I'd like to introduce you to your mid-funnel lead. And while this is going to sound hokey, it's helpful to give him or her a name. Today we'll call him Steve Middleton. It turns out that getting to know Steve is the key to growing your business, because not only is Steve Middleton a good lead lying dormant here in the middle of your funnel, but he's also the key to expanding your top of funnel growth. That's right. Steve fails to give you his contact info as a lead more often than he gives it to you. That means you're missing out on massive top of funnel growth as well as the majority of your middle of funnel growth. It turns out Steve is the key to growing your business much faster. That's because Steve is your ideal customer. Yes, you have leads stuck in the middle of your funnel who are not your ideal customer. Their name is not Steve Middleton. Just because Steve didn't convert into the sales pipeline right away, though, doesn't mean he's a bad lead. It just means he's missing something else. And to explain that something else, I want to introduce you to a new concept, the awareness scale. The awareness scale tells us how much a prospect knows about the problem we solve and the way we solve it. The awareness scale is separate from the ICP definition. Someone can exist anywhere on the awareness scale and still be your ICP. That's very important to understand. Let's start on the far left of the awareness scale where we have the unaware stage. Prospects here aren't even aware they have the problem you can help them solve. Moving to the right, we have the problem aware stage. Prospects here have learned one thing those in the previous stage didn't know. They have learned that they have a problem. The name of this stage is appropriately problem aware. To the right of problem aware, we have solution aware. Prospects here not only know they have a problem, but they have also learned that people have created solutions to this problem. Next, we have the product aware stage. Prospects in this stage not only know about their problems and know there are solutions, but they have also become aware of your product as a potential solution. They do not, however, know all of the reasons why your product is better than their other options, your competitors or your substitutes. And then finally, we have the fully aware stage. At this stage, prospects know everything from the previous stages, and they also know all the reasons why you say your product is the best thing to help them solve their problem. Here's the fundamental thing that everyone who struggles with pipeline is missing. You can get a problem-aware prospect into a sales call, but you cannot do it with a product-focused message. You can convert a problem-aware prospect into a lead with your top-of-funnel content, but you cannot do it with a product-focused message. Although Steve Middleton is your ideal customer, you only convert him a small percentage of the time at each stage of your funnel because you're only speaking to solution-aware or product-aware Steve. Most of the Steve Middletons in the world are unaware or problem-aware, and this will vary depending on your market and what you sell. So while you may convert some Steve Middletons at the top of your funnel because that content aligns with their awareness level, Steve Middletons do not fall out the bottom of the funnel into a sales call because that invitation does not match their awareness level. And the product-focused nurture drip emails with product-focused calls to action and invitations to product-focused events do not appeal to Steve Middleton. There are many more Steve Middletons who do not convert at the top of the funnel because their awareness level doesn't align with your top-of-funnel content. But you could convert them if you gave them a message that aligned with their awareness level and you put those Steves in a state of emotional readiness to move forward. Now, that's a very important point, and we can talk about that more in a future episode. In today's information and content saturated world, even a B2B prospect needs to be emotionally persuaded to pay attention and take action. Logic by itself will not work. The key to growing more efficiently and profitably is in putting the right messages in front of Steve Middleton. If you're like most SaaS companies though, your entire GTM motion is built around the prospect who is solution aware, product aware, and even fully aware. But the vast majority of your market is further on the left of the awareness scale. You may even be guilty of this mistake that will kill your business. When you want to drive more leads at the top of your funnel, instead of staying with your Steve Middleton ICP and simply taking a step to the left on the awareness scale and marketing to that less aware version of your ICP, instead of that, you expand your top of funnel marketing to include people who are not your ICP. They are a step away from your ICP or 2 steps away from your ICP. This is a serious mistake that will increase your lead cost while it decreases your conversions at every stage of your funnel and pipeline afterward. It will increase your cost to acquire a customer, and it will fill your entire marketing and sales team with hopelessness as your numbers suck more and more every time you look at them. So grow your business with greater revenue efficiency, greater marketing efficiency, and with higher profits by getting really good at speaking to Steve Middleton at every awareness stage. This is a key ingredient most companies are missing as they flounder in a tough market with small pipelines, missing their sales and growth targets. If you would like help creating messages that hit Steve Middleton hard right where he's at, so you can capitalize on that pile of Steves you have in your CRM today, remember, that's pipeline and revenue just sitting there waiting for the right message from you. If you want help doing this, that's exactly what we do at Profit Automation. And if you want help converting Steve Middleton at any other stage of the funnel too, we also help with that. I hope this has been a useful video. If it has, please take a second to mash that like button. Also, leave a comment letting me know what helped the most. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos with equally valuable content. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.